Hey everybody, welcome back to Game Time with John Eads. Super happy to be back with you guys and in the studio. I think it's been exactly a month today, the last time we were able to do an episode from up here, but still trying to push out some content, done a lot of interviews with some of the local high school football players that'll be playing at Southern University next year and for the next couple of years, so I encourage you guys to check those out. It's just crossover season, so it gets a little bit busy around here with the sports and all, so we've weathered that storm, so to speak, and gotten through the high school. I say gotten through, but got to enjoy the end of and close out a great chapter of high school soccer, basketball, all those kinds of sports, and now we have a little bit more free time to focus and continue to pump out these episodes. So sorry for the wait, and appreciate the support as always. Be sure to like and subscribe here on our WAFB YouTube page. So we're here in mid-March, and spring football started last week. We got to go to our first practice last Wednesday, I think it was. So that was nice to see the team back at it. Some of the new players, the new coaches for 20 or 30 minutes there, and we'll have more opportunities here in the next couple of weeks leading up to the spring game on April 13th. So there's a lot going on right now between basketball and other sports around campus. Gymnastics really having great seasons here. Baseball, obviously, and softball having tremendous starts to the season. So we're going to talk about all of those sports. Don't get me wrong, we're going to dive in, there. I do want to talk about football, though, because I just did go to practice. A couple of our staff members went. And I just want to, attack some of these questions that we have right now because we don't have the answers to them. And we're kind of hypothesizing what the answers could be to different aspects of this football team as we enter Brian Kelly's third year. And these are things that I want to bring up now and discuss, monitor and follow through the rest of spring, the summer, and then fall and preseason really talk about. And maybe we'll be talking about them when the season comes around too, because there's still problems. So I want to start with this question. What's the plan at running back for LSU next year? Because there's a lot of turnover at that position. Same for a lot of other colleges and position groups around the country. You got a bunch of guys leaving, graduating every single year. The question then becomes, how do you replace them? I'm going to split this up into two parts. I'll tell you who is gone from LSU's running back room, who's back, and how it's all kind of looking right now. So who's gone? Obviously, you lose Jaden Daniels. I know he was a quarterback. He won the Heisman Trophy. But believe it or not, he led the team in rushing last year, over 1,100 yards. That may not be hard to believe. Typically, though, it's your running back that would lead the team in running, even if you have a dual-threat quarterback. But that just speaks to the level and the talent that Jaden Daniels was when he was at LSU. Prolific thrower, unbelievable runner, putting up running back-type numbers as a quarterback. And that's hard to do. It really is, because in those situations, you're typically scrambling. Sometimes you get designed plays. It's just hard to break out those runs like running backs do. As for the running backs, though, Logan Diggs was second on the team last year in rushing, over 650 yards, 5.5 per carry, and 7 touchdowns. He had more eligibility, but he decided to transfer to Ole Miss. So, bummer there, because you lose him and everything that he was for you at that running back position last year. But now he's playing for the Rebels, a team that you will play quite a bit, right, in the next couple of years. And you just hate to see him go to a fellow SEC school like that. So that was kind of a bummer in that regard. And then you also lose guys like John Emery Jr. and Noah Kane, two players that were very veteran, older last year, both former big-time recruits. And really the story is the same for the both of them. Their careers just didn't really pan out. Kane started at Penn State, and I remember watching him as a young player. He was really good, but then he had an injury during the COVID season and never seemed to really find his footing after that, never really emerged as the guy in LSU's running back room. So he got to play a lot in the bowl game, but he kind of ends his career in underwhelming regard, I would say. I don't think that's unfair to say because, again, he was a big recruit. A lot of people wanted him, and he just never had that season where he took over. John Emery Jr., the same. He was a 5-star. Everybody had sky-high expectations for him, but he just could not stay healthy. And as a result, he put together 5 years of mediocre football, which when you're a 5-star and one of the best running back recruits in the country, I know injuries happen, he didn't meet the expectations that people had for him. And it's a bummer because I'm sure that he's not happy about that. And he had a torn ACL this past season. I guess that's what was the final nail in the coffin on his football career. So that was a bummer. It's interesting. You had so many guys last year. I remember doing a segment about the amount of players that could start at running back for LSU. This year, you're kind of lacking in numbers because you're losing 5 guys plus Jaden Daniels to the NFL, right? Here are the last two. Armani Goodwin played a lot in 2022. Didn't play, I don't think, really at all last year. He transfers to UAB. And then Trey Bradford, who was your opening day starter at running back, transferring to North Texas. He's kind of been all over the place in his college football career. So you lose 5 running backs and JD5. Who's back? You've got really 2.5, I would say. You got Josh Williams, the guy that seems like he's been there forever, in a good way, though, because he produces every year for this team. He's got another season of football that he can play here, so he's going to go ahead and do that. He did get his degree last year in a graduate season, and really solid. Third of the team in rushing, about 300 yards on 55 carries with 5 touchdowns, and he was the bell cow, really, in the bowl game. 12 carries for 51 yards, also had 3 catches. So, it was interesting. I wanted to see who kind of got the bulk of the carries in that last game of the year. It was mainly him and Noah Cain, not Caleb Jackson, which surprised me. He's the other guy that's back. A lot of people are excited about Caleb Jackson, the former Liberty Magnet Patriot, high school not too far from here. Last season showed flashes, 31 carries, about 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. But here's the thing. He only had 5 or more carries in 2 games last year. Once against Grambling State, 11 for 62 and 2 touchdowns. And maybe Mississippi State was the other one. So he's unproven. He is a beast. He's like 6'2", 225, all muscle. You watch his high school tape. I mean, he's making dudes look like they play middle school football. And that's translated to the college game, certainly. You think about the Mississippi State game when he just bulldozed over a guy on a kick return. And he's had some other physical and nice, impressive runs. But he hasn't proven that he can be the guy that takes 10 carries a game, doesn't get injured, and can move the chains, pick up those yards, and make stuff happen. I certainly think he's capable. Don't get me wrong. We haven't seen it yet, though. So it seems like the starting position is between Caleb Jackson and Josh Williams. Maybe they'll do a thing kind of like you see in the NFL with a veteran quarterback where he's kind of leads the younger guy along and starts the first couple games of the year, and then Jackson, the younger guy, just takes the reins and goes. Jackson certainly has the higher upside. He's the better athlete between the two, but Williams has the experience that you can't put a price on. So they're pretty good there. You got a nice 1-2 punch, Williams and Jackson. I think there was a little bit more optimism in what Logan Diggs could do last year because he played a lot of football at Notre Dame and just seemed a little bit more comfortable to step in and play right away. But those aren't 2 guys that are bad to start with. Who else do you have? You have Trey Holly and Caden Durham. Holly has been in the news cycle for the past month. Last season, he redshirted, played in 3 games, 11 carries, about 100 yards and a touchdown. So we saw him a little bit and played a decent amount in the spring game last year. So you're thinking, all right, can he take a step this season, right? Well, in mid-February, he was arrested in connection with a shooting in Union Parish where he's from. He says he's 100% innocent. Haven't heard any new details on this since he announced that a couple weeks ago. Currently, he's on the roster. We did not see him at spring football practice when we were there. And that's the only time media has been allowed to go in and see practice. So maybe it'll be different the next time we go. But haven't seen him yet. Important to note, though, he still is on the roster. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes of that situation. Obviously not something you want to be involved in the offseason, especially when you're a young guy and you're trying to prove to the coaching staff that, hey, I can make plays for this team. I can play a role. You're not even on the practice field, at least that we see. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. Definitely a disappointment, though, I think, for LSU fans. That's fair to say. And you have a guy that's coming in the summer, Caden Durham, 4-star, rising true freshman from Duncanville High School. That's near Dallas. And you should be excited about him. He's 5'9", 195. He's got track speed, a consensus 4-star. Helped Duncanville, the same school that DeCorian Moore plays for, the 5-star receiver who's committed to LSU. They play for the same team. They led that team to back-to-back state titles here in Texas at the Class 6A level. And Durham was the 2-time MVP of both of those state title wins. 2 years ago, and then this past year, running 22 times for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns. And as y'all know, Texas football is no joke, just as it is here. Very high-level athletes and programs, a lot of traditions. So that's nothing to smirk at for sure. And I mentioned that track speed. There were clips going viral recently of him running sub 11 seconds on the 100 or 110 meter, one of those two. Either way, he's big, he's built, and he's really fast. He is coming in the summer, though, so it's hard for guys as freshmen when they enroll that late into the game to, early in their career at least, early in their first season, make an impact. But I think all the intangibles are there for him to maybe midseason and beyond carve out a role, but certainly the future is bright for Caden Durham. I think that's a guy you should be excited about with the future of this running back room, along with Caleb Jackson, who is going to be a sophomore. I mean, plenty of tread on those tires for those two. They could be a nice 1-2 punch in the future. So that's what you're looking like at running back. You lose 5 guys plus Jaden. You've got 2 returnees. Jackson's a little inexperienced. Williams is as experienced really as you could be. Trey Holly up in the air with that situation. He may not even be on the team. And then Durham, who's coming in the summer. So you've also got some walk-ons, but it's not a proven commodity at running back here. Williams is solid. I wouldn't say he's elite. Jackson can be elite. He's got that upside, but we haven't seen it yet, so it's a little bit unproven. So this is a question right now. We'll see if it gets answered in the rest of spring. Maybe we'll see some stuff we like in the spring game and then in fall camp and stuff. But this is a position group you'll need to fix and tinker with because Daniels is gone, as I've said a million times at this point. Garrett Nussmeier is your new quarterback. He's not as much of a dual-threat guy as Jaden was, obviously. So it's important to have the threat of a legitimate run game, whether it be zone, read option, whatever. I've heard they're changing up their blocking schemes and stuff this year to better account for the fact that Nussmeier is more of a thrower. Obviously, you got to have the ability to be balanced. LSU did last year. They got to find a new way to be balanced this year, and they'll be doing it with some new guys in the running back room. Should be interesting to see who could step up there, but the bodies are thin, so you certainly need to hit on the guys that you have, and they got to take the reins and do so quickly. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.